Today's video is about product and quotient rules of a derivative. This is a product rule. If you have two functions, do the multiplication, then we do the derivative for this product. We need to do the first function derivative times the second function, then plus the first function multiplied by the derivative of a second function. For the quotient rule, you will make a denominator square first. Then do the derivative of a numerator times the function of a denominator. This is minus here, minus the numerator function times the derivative of a denominator function. Try to remember the pattern of a product rule and a quotient rule. Guided practice 1. Find the dy by dx using the product rule. First of all, we know these two functions do the multiplication. So you will do the derivative for the first function times the second function. Then you plus the first function multiplied by the derivative of second function. For the derivative of square root of x, if you can, try to remember 1/2 square root of x, 1 over square root of x. Or you will get by power rule, 1/2. Then x, here's 1/2 minus 1. So you will get negative 1/2. That will be 1/2, 1 over square root of x. It's better to remember this rule. So we will get 1/2 square root of x, 1 over square root of x times x minus x squared to the third power plus square root of x. Then we work this out. You have to use the chain rule for this derivative. Drop down this 3. You will get 3 times x minus x squared squared. Then multiply the derivative inside. That will be 1 minus 2x. Then we organize a little bit. We have 2 square root of x as denominator, x minus x squared to the third power, plus 3 square root of x, 1 minus 2x, times x minus x squared squared. This is the answer for A. Now let's go to B. Derivative for y equals, we do the derivative for the first function times the second function. Then plus the first function times the derivative of second function. For derivative of x squared, that's 2x. Then times the square root of 3 minus x. Then plus x squared times. For the derivative of square root of 3 minus x, square root of 3 minus x, we change into power form. That's 3 minus x 1/2 power. Then we do derivative for this. You will get 1/2 down. 3 minus x, 1/2 minus 1. That will be negative 1/2 times. We do derivative inside, will be negative 1. Because derivative for 3 is 0, negative x, that derivative will be negative 1. So you will get the 1/2. Here's the square root 3 minus x, that's 1 times negative 1. So we organize over here, you will get the negative 1 to square root 3 minus x. One more step, 2x square root 3 minus x minus x squared over 2 square root 3 minus x. Yeah, that's the answer. Let's go to guided practice 2. Find the gradient of the tangent. Gradient of a tangent, basically that means derivative. Therefore, for A, you will do the derivative for this function. That will be derivative for this x, then square root 1 minus 2x plus x times derivative of square root 1 minus 2x. We use the derivative for square root of x a lot, so if possible, try to remember this. And I got to use this formula to work this out. Derivative for x, that's 1, so we get the square root of 1 minus 2x plus x times. I got to use this formula. So you will get the 1/2 times 1 over square root 1 minus 2x. Don't forget that chain rule, you have to do the derivative of 1 minus 2x will be negative 2. So we organize now. You will get square root 1 minus 2x plus reduce. You will get negative 1. So basically, this part is a minus. Top, you have x over square root 1 minus 2x. For this derivative, I need to plug x equals negative 4. So we get square root 1 minus 2 times negative 4 minus negative 4 square root 1 minus 2 times negative 4. So we work this out. You will get square root of 9, that's 3, minus negative 4 over 3. Negative will be a positive. So you get the 3 plus 4 over 3. Make the same denominator. We multiply by 3 times 3. You will get 9 plus 4 is 13 over 3. This will be gradient of a tangent line at x equals negative 4. Now let's go to B. For B, still we need to figure out the derivative for this y. So we do derivative for square root of x times the second function. Then plus square root of x, we got to do the derivative for this function. Derivative for square root of x, you will get the 1/2 1 over square root of x. So 1/2 1 over square root of x times x squared minus x plus 1 squared. Then plus square root of x. For the derivative for this, x squared minus x plus 1 squared, then do the derivative. Drop these 2 down, you'll get the 2. X squared minus x plus 1, then do the first power. You have to do the chain rule for this x squared minus x plus 1. You will get the 2x minus 1. So we write down here times 2 times x squared minus x plus 1 times 2x minus 1. We organize a little bit. You will get the 2 square root of x as denominator, x squared minus x plus 1 squared. Then plus 2 square root of x, 2x minus 1, then x squared minus x plus 1. Now we plug in 4 to this function of a derivative. For x squared minus x plus 1, we plug in 4. Square minus 4 plus 1. 16 minus 4 plus 1, that will be 13. Thirteen squared is 169 over 2 times 2 is 4 plus 2 times square root of 4, that's 2, times here 2 times 4 minus 1, that's a 7. Then times 13. If you put this into calculator, you will get the 1625 over 4. Now let's go to guided practice 3. Use the quotient rule to find the dy by dx if y equals 1 plus 3x over 2 minus x. This is the formula for quotient rule. So derivative for y equals, make the denominator square. Then numerator the derivative times the denominator 2 minus x. Then subtract the derivative for the denominator times the numerator. So we get a 2 minus x squared. Derivative for 1 plus 3x, that's 3 times 2 minus x. Minus the derivative for 2 minus x will be negative 1 times 1 plus 3x. Now we need to simplify the numerator, distributive property 6 minus 3x. Negative negative will be positive. So you have the plus 1 plus 3x. We have 2 minus x squared. Therefore, 2 minus x squared. Top is gone, so we have 7. This will be the derivative to this a, y equals 1 plus 3x over 2 minus x. Now let's go to b. For b, we know the derivative for y equals square root 1 minus 3x squared. Then do the derivative for x times square root 1 minus 3x. Yeah, remember this formula. Then you minus the derivative for denominator, then times the numerator. For derivative for x, that's 1, so square root of 1 minus 3x. Minus derivative for the square root remember that it's 1/2 1 over square root of x. Therefore, we do 1/2 times 1 over square root of 1 minus 3x. Don't forget the chain rule. So derivative for 1 minus 3x, that will be -3, then times x. Over. For square root of 1 minus 3x squared, it will be 1 minus 3x. So we organize the top. You will get the square root 1 minus 3x minus denominator is 2 square root 1 minus 3x. Top, -3x to the top. Then here's one more negative. That's why it's plus 3x. Then we have 1 minus 3x as the denominator. Now we try to simplify this complex fraction. Try to get rid of this denominator. Therefore, top and bottom we multiply by 2 square root 1 minus 3x. 2 square root 1 minus 3x. So 2 times square root 1 minus 3x multiplied by the square root 1 minus 3x, because we got to do the distributive property. You will get the 2 1 minus 3x, then plus 3x. For the denominator, 2 times 1 minus 3x, then square root 1 minus 3x. Distributive property here, 2 minus 6x. Then combine like terms, you will get 2 minus 3x over 2 times 1 minus 3x, then square root 1 minus 3x. This will be the derivative for this function. For guided practice 4, find the gradient of the tangent to the function at x equals -1. Gradient of a tangent, that means a derivative. So you will get the derivative for y equals denominator multiply. This is the formula. X squared plus 1 squared. Then x third power, we do derivative times x squared plus 1. Then minus x third power times x squared plus 1, we do derivative. So denominator is x squared plus 1 squared. Derivative for x third power, that's a 3x squared times x squared plus 1 minus x third power. Derivative for x squared plus 1, that's a 2x. Let's simplify. You will get the x squared plus 1 squared. Distributive property, that's a 3x fourth power plus 3x squared. This 2, that is minus 2x fourth power. So we combine like terms. You will get the x fourth power plus 3x squared. Then we need to plug in x equals -1. So derivative of f of -1 equals, we plug in here. That's -1 to the fourth power plus 3 times -1 squared. -1 squared plus 1, then you square. You will get 1 plus 3 and over 4, that equals 1. Now let's go to B. For derivative of y, you will get square root x squared plus 5 squared. Then we do derivative for x squared times denominator, that's square root x squared plus 5. Then you need to subtract x squared times derivative of square root x squared plus 5. As a denominator, we have x squared plus 5. Derivative for x squared will be 2x square root x squared plus 5 minus x squared times. Remember that square root of x, that will be 1/2, 1 over square root of x. Therefore, square root x squared plus 5, you will get the 1/2 square root x squared plus 5. Then you have to do the derivative for x squared plus 5, that's 2x. So we write down over here, that's 2 square root x squared plus 5. Top is 2x. Reduce. Then we need to get rid of this square root x squared plus 5 to simplify this complex fraction. Therefore, we multiply by square root x squared plus 5. Square root x squared plus 5 to the top and bottom of this fraction. Don't forget do the distributive property here. So you will get the 2x x squared plus 5. Since the denominator is gone, you have x squared times this x. You will get the x to the third power. Denominator, you will get x squared plus 5. Then square root x squared plus 5. Distributive property, you have 2x third power plus 10x. Then minus x to the third power. So combine like terms for these two. You will get the x third power plus 10x over x squared plus 5 square root x squared plus 5. Now we plug in x equals -2 to this function. You will get -2 third power plus 10 times -2. Denominator, -2 squared plus 5. Then square root -2 squared plus 5. You will get this part is -8 minus 20, so -28. 9 times 3, because square root of 9 is 3. You will get -28 over 27. This will be the gradient of the tangent line at x equals -2.